Hello, everyone. This is the Fun Games Podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Lib, and it is time to get started. Hey guys, Jimmy Lib here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to give you a little context to what we're talking about. We're interviewing a developer who developed her own sort of point-and-click style RPG, very narrative-driven, and we're going to hear a lot about her story. It's a really fantastic interview, but I want to give you a little info about the game. We didn't really bring it up till later, but I think it's important to have the info up front. So, the game is called Demons Never Lie. The little blurb, the little story hook is, after an awful life, John's soul is ready to say goodbye. In that moment, a demon appears in front of him. The mysterious creature offers him the opportunity to be young again. Will he accept his offer? If so, what will be the consequences? So it's a very choices, story-driven RPG. The developer has a pretty good ability to make you feel something as she paints the story, and you'll hear about that a little bit, but thought it was important to have all that up front. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you in there. All right, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Fun Games Podcast. I'm your host, Jimmy Lib, and I'm here with my co-host, markeedragon.
Hello, I'm markeedragon, also known as Marcus Eichenberry in real life.
And it's not just the two of us today. Today we have a very special guest by the name of Maika, who has got on our radar by developing her own game, and we'll talk about that. But anyways, we just want to say, Maika, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me, and hi everyone. I'm so glad to be here.
Cool. So, like I said, Maika, you got on our radar when we saw your game on Steam, and what really piqued my interest is that you seem to have done this whole project solo. Is that correct?
Yes, is that absolutely correct?
Cool.
It's been a tough ride.
Awesome. So, before we dive into the kind of the process of that, tell us just a little bit about yourself. What's your background specifically with like IT and programming, and then what made you want to kind of take on a project like this?
Well, I'm a computer science engineer, and
Okay.
I've been working as developer during more than 10 years. And well, but all the jobs I had done were not connected with video games or something like that. The last job, for example, was developing software for insurance companies. So it was a job a bit, I don't know, boring somehow. It's okay because it's a stable job and obviously it helps to pay the bills. But it's not what I wanted to do. I want something more creative or something more interesting. And I see all these indie games everywhere in the phone, in the PC games. And I was like, I want to do something like this. I think I can do something like this. And that's how 2 years ago I decided to, I don't know, I was really crazy. I decided to quit my job and follow this crazy dream, this crazy adventure. Yeah. And I started learning Unity. I didn't know anything about Unity. I will have seen some tutorials and something like that. And I feel like I could do it because I have a big background on developing software. So it looked easier for me than do other things I have done before. Cool. in software. So that's how I decided to make this step. And do something that I wanted to do a long time ago. It's like something I always had in my head, but I never seen the moment to do it. And suddenly I see this is the right time. I'm going to try it. Let's start learning Unity and developing this game.
Awesome. So to clarify, you quit your job before you really even got started on this project. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Wow, that's a leap of faith.
2 years ago, I had like what I told you before, a little middle life crisis. So I was like, I need to do something. I need to do this because video games are always been my passion, and I see a lot of people doing it. So I think, why not? Why not? I have to try.
And you said that was about 3 years ago?
2 years ago, it was November 2017. I think.
Okay. So right at 2 years ago.
Yes, 2 years ago.
That's wonderful.
So what you said you had like, your midlife crisis, here in the United States, guys have a midlife crisis and they go out and buy a sports car.
Yeah. This was quite different.
Yeah. So why choose to make a video game when you've never done that before? And yeah, I guess that's the question. Why choose to make a video game?
I always wanted to make video games. I love video games since I was very young. The problem was that before there wasn't Unity or Unreal to do something at home. You can't do a video game by your own. It was impossible. It was like you know, I don't know. You live in Japan, maybe, or United States, and you can go to a big company. But in Spain, for example, there weren't companies of video games you can join. So it was like a dream that I almost forgot about it. It's like, well, video games. I guess I have to live in the real life, and I have to find a job or wherever I can, and that's all. So it was like something I already forget. But when it's appeared these Unity and Unreal programs, and I realized that there were people at home doing games, and it was like something that anyone can do with a lot of time and a lot of work, but it's possible for someone to do it, to publish your own gaming, even that. So I start to all the time be obsessed with this idea. Like maybe 5 years ago, I start like, I have to do this. Sometimes I load a game in my phone, for example, and I said, I can do this. It's simple. The program of this game is very simple to do. It's not a difficult thing. So I started like obsessing with this idea during years. So one day I decided to do it because of that. I thought it was easy. Right now, I cannot say it's easy at all. But in that moment, for me, it was, this is very easy. I had to do the game. I just upload to a market and wait. But right now, I realize that I have no idea what I was doing. So I've been learning a lot of things during this process too.
I think that the work that you've done here, especially finding out that you are the creator. I mean, you're the only person working on this. When I look at the game, it looks actually like really professional.
Yes.
And really? Yes, I don't think so. I always look other indie games and I feel like mine is like, oh my God. My lamp is
nobody notices
it sucks.
Nobody notices the imperfections. I mean, is the game fun?
Yeah, people I think like it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. People are attracted to graphics, when they come in, which this has good graphics. But then if it's fun, they stick around and they really enjoy it.
So.
Yeah, but you see other indie games and they are so beautiful, like you see as like eye candy, and mine is like, oh my God, these voxels characters. People is like, oh my God, why are so blocked?
Yeah. I mean, no one's going to criticize your game as much as you do, of course, right? So,
it's true.
No, Marky hit it on the head. I mean, it looks. Because you say you've looked at other indie games. I mean, we've looked at other indie games and we're like, oh, this is just really slapped together. I mean, everyone's seen those on Steam. And when you visit your game page on Steam, it does not appear that way. So,
by the way, have we mentioned the name of the game? Demons Never Lie?
Demons Never Lie, yes.
Yeah, so if you're listening to this right now and you want to look it up, Demons Never Lie on Steam.
Yeah. Yeah, and we'll definitely link the website and the Steam page in the show notes, so you can check that out. But so I'm curious because I'm a lurker in a lot of these game development communities, whether it's on Reddit or whatever else. And a big narrative coming from those communities is like, just don't worry about publishing your first game, just complete your first game. So when you set out to do this, was this? Is the game up on Steam? Is this the first game you've ever completed?
Yes, this is the first. Because it's very difficult to finish a game. It's very difficult to start a game. It's very easy to start, but very difficult to finish. In this game, it's going to be very, very difficult. It was a moment I realized that I won't be able to finish the game. It's like it never ends. It never ends. Yeah. So I had to delete a lot of things on the game. The game was the story of the game was very long, and I realized that what I have in my head it was too much for me, only for one person. At the beginning, I thought the game will last, like the development of the game will last about 1 year. It was my idea. I planned 1 year of the game. That's enough because my savings aren't too much. So 1 year is
Right.
Like and I said 1 year, like all the time in the world, like thinking 1 year it was to be woof. I have time for forever. No, but it takes 2 years, and also deleting a lot of things, changing a lot of things, because I didn't know how a lot of things had to make a game. I realized during the process, because it was my first one, so I made a lot of mistakes. I realized that this is not only the game. It's the game, is the video of the game, is the marketing of the game, is testing the game. So it's like, I don't know, it's no end for finish the game.
Definitely.
So only to do it is like it's enough. No, it's just something difficult to get. So I also, you have a lot of ideas during the development of one game. You're thinking of another idea. Suddenly you want to make another game different. So it's like, no, finish this one, then maybe another one.
I know that Marcus has dealt with that as a serial entrepreneur.
Oh yeah, many companies, and some of them work great, some of them don't work great.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So no, that's interesting. So obviously you have the development background. That's really cool. But talk to us about the stuff that you really didn't have any experience with, and I guess we can start with like the art stuff. So what was the process for even like deciding on a graphical style? Were the limitations kind of led you down this path, or what? How did you decide what this game was going to look like?
The limitation, obviously.
Yeah.
I wanted to do a 3D game because I thought it was easier than a 2D game. Sorry, I don't know. 2D is okay.
Yep.
For example, when you do a 2D game, you have to be beautiful. You have to have an artist or someone who have talent making illustrations or designing characters. So I thought first 3D because it's easier. And I saw this Maika voxel things. Maika voxel is some program for doing voxel. And I realized that it was easy because it was like blocks. So I can design something with this. No? Even I don't have no idea about 3D art. But well, voxel is easy. No? And I made my first character, and well, it was like, well, it can work somehow.
Yeah. Cool. So
and that's how I decided to make everything this kind of voxel art thing made. And I realized that although in voxel it was easy, it takes a lot of time when you are not an expert. So I decided to help myself buying 3D low poly for the scenarios, because the first scenario of the game, it took me 2 months doing everything in voxel. So I realized if I do this, I never finish the game. So I started helping myself buying 3D models in low poly. And I mix them, the characters with the low poly scenarios, and it looks great, I think. It makes somehow fine.
Cool. Yeah, so that's interesting. So we'll get back to that in a little bit, but backing up, like how did you decide even what kind of game to make? Like, I mean, you obviously said you want to make a 3D game, but as far as like a genre game,
yes,
you describe your game a lot of different ways. Let's see, you say a 3D graphic adventure that combines genres like point and click, thriller, horror, and visual novel.
Exactly. I was thinking about a point and click, so sure of that, because I remember playing when I was young point and click games, like typical Monkey Island and LucasArts games, and I feel I want to do something like that, because the best thing I think I have is I have imagination for the story. The story is going to be the most important part of the game, the narrative of the game. No?
Yeah.
So I realized I want to do something like Monkey Island, something very simple. It has to be something very easy, because I wasn't a video game developer, so I had to do something that for me, program the game had to be something very fast, easy, like point and click.
Right.
An inventory, little inventory, small, but not. I cannot do a Call of Duty,
Right.
or something like a lot of action or even physics or something like that. They have to be like just walking, just interact with things, And also I like that kind of games also. So I feel like I have a lot of experience in that kind of game. So
Yes.
that's why I decided to do a point and click. That it's an old kind of the game, but people like it nowadays also.
Absolutely. Yeah. So no, I think that's very insightful. And Marcus, I'd love to get your insights on this. But like, if you're listening and you're thinking about, designing a game down the road, I think starting with the type of game you know and like is a good foundation.
Yes. Very important also.
Well, we don't want to make a game we don't like.
Exactly. Make a game you want to play is what the people say.
Right. Yes. How did you do the funding for the game? Because you said that you just had so much savings and you decided to make the leap, and then it took you twice as long to make the game as what you estimated. How did you deal with that?
Well, I realized I was in a moment that I couldn't come back and not to do the game because I have a lot of development done, but I don't have money to continue. So what I do now? So I decided to create a campaign on Kickstarter to just for the last patch and to finish the game, just at least finish it and publish it. And that's where and it was very great experience because I haven't shown my game only to friends or something for family, and people like it. People tell you it's perfect. It's cool.
Yeah, they love you, and so they tell you good things.
Yes. So Kickstarter is going to be also the first time someone who is not a friend will see the game and tell me what they think about the game. It's going to be the first demo, the first time people are going to play it also. So it's like, wow. And also with the Kickstarter campaign, I also after that I also published it in GameJolt and itch.io, the demo. But before that, nobody had played it. So I started the campaign to not also to get money, of course, but to know what people think about the game, what people like it. I don't know, to have a little feedback there. No?
Did you have any challenges? Like, getting that feedback from people? Did people say things that you didn't even know about and were kind of blindsided by, or was it everything you expected?
I was surprised people like the game so much because when you are doing, I don't know, it's only happened to me, but for me, it's like, it's not good enough. It's not, because in your mind, your game is always better. It looks better. It's wonderful. In your head, it's perfect. But when you start developing, you realize there are a lot of things you can do with your game. In my game, for example, there's going to be action parts with a gun and people fighting, and all of that. I have to quit and delete all of that because it was impossible to add.
Gotcha.
So you always feel like it's not good enough. Nobody's going to like it. I know I'm very pessimistic, obviously. But so everything was very great. People start saying good things, like you have told me, the art style, and I think the art style is very bad, but I know it's good. Oh, really? So it was like a good thing to know people feedback and they like it and they tell you it looks very great. Or the best thing I think was the first time I saw someone playing the game in YouTube. I think it was the first time I feel like, wow, people like it. People is scared in this part. People is, and I don't know, and smiling here, or I don't know. It's very great, that part.
That's cool. So where did you say you hosted the game, the demo of the game?
I host in the Kickstarter campaign and also in itch.io. I think is I don't know if in English is said like that. Sorry.
Itch.io.
Itch.io.
Yep. Itch.io. Okay.
Yeah.
And GameJolt. GameJolt is the other page that I recommend. This page is to. Do you have a demo or just are you starting a game? It's a very good place because it's free to upload your game there or your demo or wherever you have.
Yeah.
Even your art or your develop. No, it doesn't have to be finished. Just whatever you are working on it, and you can see the feedback. If people like it or not. Or it's a very great community. The people help you a lot.
Good. Glad to hear that, man. So one thing I noticed in this game is like it seems like you mentioned, the story is very important to you. and you want it to be kind of an emotional experience when people play this game. You want them to feel something, right? So talk to me just a little bit about like the process of designing the story and what your goals were for the player to experience.
The story, I have the general idea in my head. Like, I wanted the people to remember the story somehow, not to think about it, not only play it and forget. So I wanted to, I don't know, like it was like a deep story, like a very make you think about decisions we take in life, or why we have to be good or bad in life. What is a reason to do something or not to do it? I also thought that sometimes I guess we regret things we have done. So this can give you the opportunity to see the life the other way. You know, like what my life would be if someone tell me don't do this or don't do that, or yes, take this way. That's the general idea I had in my head for the game.
Cool.
And suddenly it came demons also, but
Right.
at the moment it was like I want something to people to think about, to remember somehow. Just like that.
That's wonderful, and we won't offer up any spoilers here. We definitely want
no spoilers.
No spoilers. We want our listeners to enjoy the thing, but no, that's wonderful. So you mentioned you got some really positive feedback, but kind of back to Marcus's question, did you get any negative feedback or anything that like changed the direction of the game?
Not really. I've been lucky in that. There are people who said, for example, I don't know. People said the illustration are a bit anime. No, you know like manga style. Some people don't like that. So tell me, I don't like the manga style. But others said, oh, I love the manga style. So I don't know what to think.
Right. So, sure. That's just a preference. It's not really
just a preference. And also the only thing I changed because I realized people don't like it. It was in the demo. I put a puzzle that it was a maze. It was a maze which the player have to solve, and it was very boring maze. I didn't realize until I see people playing it on YouTube. I feel people desperate that it's like, oh, this maze, this is horrible. And I was there, so I deleted the maze from the final version. But it was the only thing I realized that people don't like it. And so all the puzzles are things that I was thinking to make the rhythm of the game a little slow. I deleted for the game, for the final version. I realized that people don't want to get bored in some parts, so I focus only in the narrative, in the story, and delete this kind of puzzle. Only inventory things. You have to interact with objects, but not to waste time of the player.
Right. Cool. No, that's wonderful.
I have a question here. The storyline of the game. Do you represent yourself in the game? Like as the main character, is that you?
Not really. Not really. But obviously, there are a lot of me in the game. There are a lot of my experience here, or things that I thought or I wanted to do or I wanted to think. But it's not my story or something that happened to me. No, not really. Not really.
Are any of the characters in the game a representation of friends or somebody you dislike?
No, not really. Not really. No, the game is absolutely fiction. Obviously, there are packed with demons and things very dark in the game. So obviously, it's not happening in the real life. I hope.
Right.
Satanic things, imagine, my friends are all satanic persons. Oh my God. No, not really. But obviously there are a lot of, when you write your own script, there are a lot of, sentences that you say also in real life sometimes. Friends who play the game tell me that, this is you saying this, obviously.
Right.
It's me sometimes, but not my experience at
all. How did you, being that you were the only person making this game, how did you deal with, the times when it was really difficult, you had a really hard problem to solve to get something done or whatnot? You could, being just yourself, I mean, you could end up getting kind of depressed sometimes of like, I can't figure this part out. How did you deal with that?
Totally, it's like that. You feel like totally blocked. There are days that you are blocked. You can go further. It's like, I don't know how to solve this. I can't tell the whole story to anyone and try to figure out the end or to figure out how to change this. So it's very frustrating. It's I think it's the hardest part to create a game. I usually miss to have a team, and to ask someone, what do you think about this, or how we can do this? I miss it so much. Sometimes I feel so alone sometimes. No, it's not like that, but I feel like I'm so stuck here. I can't do it. Sometimes I feel like I can't. But well, it's just a question of time. It's a question to wait another day. Sometimes it's just the next day you feel better. The next day you feel more inspired with more inspiration, and you can do it. But it's very difficult. It's I to be honest, sometimes it's I don't know, like hell. Totally hell.
So if you were going to do it again, what would you change?
The question is that I'm so tired and exhausted about this that I don't know if I could do this again.
Oh, you might be a one-hit wonder.
Sorry?
I said you might be a one-hit wonder. It's like a band who makes one song that goes really amazing and everyone really likes it, and then they never produce another song.
No, it's not. The game is not going as well as maybe as it seems. The game had a great feedback, but not great sales. So
Gotcha.
I don't know what is going to happen. Right now, I feel like I can't do this again. I can't pass through all of this because when I started, I have no idea. So I was like very naive, and I think it's going to be everything great, a lot of fun. But it's only the first 6 months. After that, it's become work, and you have to be very you have to be like in a job. You have 2 hours to work, and even more because when it's your game, you have no holiday, you have no free time. Every time you're not working, it's like you feel guilty, like I have to be working. Why not doing this or that? So it's like all the time upset with the project. You don't disconnect. So I don't know if I had to pass a lot of time until I try this again, because right now I feel like no again.
That's fine.
Or at least not this big. If I do something, I do something very small. A game about 1 hour, 2 hours long, no more than that. Impossible more.
Interesting.
This has been a crazy idea, and sometimes I don't know even how it's now in mega reality, because it's been so crazy.
So let's talk about sales and numbers as much as you're willing to. So the game is listed on Steam for $15 US. How did you decide on like pricing and all that stuff?
It's very difficult, but I had no idea. So I just look other games that could be like mine and trying to be the same price somehow. Maybe it's a bit expensive. I realize now that maybe it's a bit expensive. I don't know. I'm learning this part in the development game, because I had no idea. And so, but there are always discounts and a lot of things that I hope that I have more sales or more success. But right now, maybe, we have no experience, so maybe here I made a lot of mistakes. So
no, it's definitely part of the learning experience.
Yes.
And kind of in that same vein, like marketing, which you mentioned earlier, is a big piece of this effort, right? This solo effort is, you can make a beautiful game, but if no one knows about it, it's kind of a waste of time. So I know you got a little bit of momentum from your Kickstarter campaign and you all that, but walk us through like what marketing looked like for you.
It's very difficult. I think for me it's the worst part because I don't like marketing for the beginning. It's like I'm not used to the social media. The truth is I haven't Twitter or Instagram before the game. So imagine how much I knew about social media before this. I create everything during the process because I realized that I had to have an account in Twitter and Instagram, Facebook for the game. But I had no idea about the communities. So this has been a terrible mistake for my part. That's it. I think that the best you can do here is to get a publisher or someone who helped you in this part. Or you are an expert of this field, or it's very, very difficult. Or your game is so beautiful or so cool that becomes viral on the internet. That sometimes happens like this, or it's just a little game, but it's very difficult to people to share it or to talk about it, and for me it has been the worst part because I thought it wasn't that important, and I realized that it is probably the most important thing about the game right now, because there are a lot of games. There are a lot of indie games. There are lots of people with a lot of talent, better than you, and it's very difficult to people buy all of them. They have to choose one, and they're going to choose the one who is in the front page of Steam or in the everybody's talking about, or all the YouTubers are playing it. So yeah, that's for me it's become very difficult. The most difficult part of the development.
People who are great at marketing and that are also the same ones who make the game make really bad games. So it's not surprising that you say you have difficulty in that area, because none of us are all things. And to create a game that is of this quality all on your own, there has to be other areas that you're just not as good at, and that and it's so understandable. I think that you've maybe hit it right on the nose here with that. You need a good publisher or something like that to help you with that, and or also your comment, getting YouTubers or streamers to play it or whatnot.
We're excited to kind of see this progress. So what are your plans for this game specifically down the road? Like, do you have any, have you ever thought of like doing a sequel? I know we touched on that a little bit. This is a lot of work. But even like maybe expansion packs or DLC or anything like that, is that on the radar at all?
By the moment, I'm thinking about release the game for the mobile phone, for the mobile market, to make an Android and an iOS, is in iOS version, because it's with Unity it's very easy to compile, to create the version for these platforms. It's not a job because I have to change a lot of things, taking into account that there is no mouse in these platforms, but it's easy. I think in 2 months or like that, maybe for the next year, it could be on the mobile devices. It could be great to have a publisher who help me to publish in consoles like Switch, for example. I would love to see this game on Switch. But if the game, I don't know, get more attention and becomes a little more successful, I don't care to do a sequel. But right now, I feel like I don't have the spirit for it.
Sure. Yeah. So what is the process of getting a publisher? Like what would that look like? And I guess this question is for both of you. I'm just kind of unplugged from what that process is, but what does a publisher look for? Have you talked to publishers?
No, I haven't. I have to make that to do that. What I have asked other indie developers were how they get their publishers. Sometimes going to I don't know how it's said in English. Going to shows, where you go with your game and where other indies are. It's very important. There are a lot of publishers there. Sometimes looking around and they see your game is interesting, they can give you a hand. some of the other indies developers get it. Meanwhile, they were in the Kickstarter. If the Kickstarter campaign is very, very, very successful, publishers contact you.
Yeah.
They see this game is going to be a hit, so
Right.
they contacted. Not my case, because my Kickstarter campaign was very small, and I found the game, it, but it wasn't like that. There are some campaigns that became so viral.
Right.
And I have to look after for that. I already know which ones I want to contact. I haven't done it, but I will, and I hope they like the game and give me a hand. And
cool.
So obviously for the consoles platforms that are very difficult to publish there. It's not like a Steam where you can do it all by yourself.
Right. And it's interesting because like the point and click games, or the more like narrative story driven games, are in many ways a good fit for like the Switch.
Yes, I think for Switch I think it's the platform that people will like this kind of game, because I don't think that people for PlayStation will like this kind of game, but maybe Switch people Switch community will like it.
Yeah. So
just want to commend you on doing one thing very right, and that is getting it done and published. Yep. And there are so many people out there who have grand plans for a game, and they get blocked by something, and then it just kind of withers away, and they never get it done. Yep. And so that's very good on your part. And I think it's rare, especially when you're doing this on your own. So I just want to congratulate you on that.
Thank you so much.
It's a job very well done.
It is. And it just, again, we're going to say for our listeners who may not have checked out the page yet, it feels like a very complete game. I mean, scrolling through the Kickstarter page, the Steam page, all that stuff is just very... it's very professional looking.
The game is very long. The game is about 7 hours of gameplay.
Yeah.
So, and I have done the best I can, obviously, but I want it to be the most polished possible. I don't want it, and early access games that I like, they are done, but with a lot of bugs or something. So yes, in that case, I wanted to be the most professional. Maybe because of that, it took me 2 years instead of 1 to finish it, because I feel always I wanted to. It's my first game, so it have to be the best version of the game. I cannot upload something half done or something like that.
Right.
Yeah, so that's great.
Cool. Well. Awesome, Micah. Thank you so much for joining us today. For all our listeners,
thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for your support. I really, really appreciate you. For me, this is a lot. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem, man. So this game is called Demons Never Lie. It's up on Steam. Go check it out. We would love to hear your feedback on it. We will catch you next time. Thank you, Marcus and Micah, again.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, guys. All right, thank you guys for tuning in to another great episode. As always, you can find both me and Marquis in our respective streams on Twitch. You can find me on Twitter. You can email me, Jimmy_lib@fungamespodcast.com. Look forward to hearing from you all. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will see you next time.